I was into revolvers. Everybody was in revolvers in the early 70s. And I remember seeing an AR-15 in the gun shop there in Franklin, Tennessee, down in the basement. They had all these long guns down there at Battleground Armory. I remember looking around. You could walk down there and look at all those. Nobody even down there. It was funny. And I remember picking that thing up a time or two. Man, that was a weird thing. That's the military rifle. And I wasn't as familiar with it, and I would not have bought that and walked out with it if I had the money. Probably, I don't know. That seems a little extreme, maybe. I don't know, but but then I got more into guns, and people actually buy those kinds of things, and regular guys just shoot them. And yeah, you're right. People aren't there yet necessarily, and you don't want to alienate people.
Exactly, because it's about what you're used to and how you grow up. In the same way that the whole kind of trying to reinforce this identity of I'm Mr. Guns seems weird to me because I don't know a world without always having guns, because I obviously grew up with you. You're my dad. Yeah. You had you already had that. You had already made that leap before I was born. So there's that novelty is that type of novelty is not there. I love guns a lot, but I've never felt like I had to prove that to someone.
That's right.
And in the same way, people that grow up not around those kind of guns, and they're scary. They're not that people aren't stupid for being afraid of something they don't understand, especially when that thing they don't understand is something that kills people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, God damn it. It's so frustrating how hard-headed, we can be not understanding, right? I think it's a much better route to get more people on our side that will support our rights and help us keep these things.
Right.
So that we don't have to inevitably use the other part of the Second Amendment by just being a little more open and welcoming to those kind of people.
Oh, yeah. And I think most people are. It's like with any group, you could divide it up into 4 or 5 segments. You're going to have, you got the same personalities in the firearms world that you have in the race car world.
It's all the same.
Any hobby. Yep. You're going to have guitar, music world. You're going to have people who are overbearing, not very tolerant if anybody doesn't agree with, that you're going to have the same people. And of course, as we all know, they can often be the loudest, and they may have a YouTube channel and have a big following, social media. And so you're going to hear from the worst segments of any category, So
I just wish, I don't know, I'd just like to see, more understanding, I guess, of people having different opinions.
Yeah.
Within guns. That's just, I don't know how we go about that, but when I say understanding, I don't mean like compromising.
Right.
I don't care what someone else thinks. I'm not going to change my opinion to like meet theirs. That's not what I mean at all. I just mean like not basically just because someone has just like a slightly less pro-gun take on it as you, just being like, all right, well, you're not one of us at all.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I know some people who are really pro-gun, Second Amendment supporters, hunt, shoot, and everything. They don't have a black rifle, and not against them, but just don't have one, and it's just you don't want to alienate those people. It's not like you're not something wrong with you. You don't have an AR. How about an AK? You don't have any of that stuff.
Right. I've had a lot of living in Chicago, now a lot of the time I've had, I do jokes about guns, and a lot of the other comedians, obviously, as you can imagine, comedians living in Chicago, most of them pretty liberal, right? But they know I'm into guns because I can't really hide it. I do jokes about it, and they see my social media and stuff. But I'll tell you a conversation that I've had with a ton of them. It'll go something like this, like, I'm not really into like, the assault rifles and things like that, but whatever. I don't know if people should have those, but I've been thinking about getting a handgun for defense,
Yeah.
So I could have easily been like, fuck you then,
That's right.
Don't talk to me,
Yeah.
But no, I had to talk to those people. I helped them, or, because I want them to get a gun. I know that it's a gateway drug.
I was going to say the same thing. That handgun's a gateway drug. I took the words out of my mouth.
It's a slippery slope. We talk about that all the time in the other direction. Yeah. Right. Yeah. What about that? What about that? Everyone always says, it's a slippery slope. If someone doesn't agree with everything, what about the other slippery slope that goes the other direction?
Yeah, because I've slid down that slippery slope, and
Right.
we all do. Yeah, and that's always been my take. We want everybody to feel welcome at our channel, for example. And if you get a gun, one gun, it leads to others, and then it just starts it ball rolling, and then you immediately. I always feel like someone who has a non-gun owner who is not going to vote pro-gun, put it that way. Well, once you get a firearm, you own it, then those anti-gun proposals are going to hit you a different way.
Yep.
When that same politician that you formerly voted for or you like is up talking about taking away your firearm, or restricting your rights with that firearm, and you have, in the short month you've had that handgun, maybe it's just some basic revolver or whatever it is, you kind of like it. You're really enjoying the shooting stuff, and having that defensive firearm, and you might be thinking about some other guns already. And, I don't know. I voted for that guy. He didn't seem to like my guns. I feel like we've jumped a major hurdle there, getting a gun in their hands.
And one thing too, I think people haven't considered, because I try not to have a super right-left perspective on things, because I don't really think that way, but I'm going to address it that way because that's how other people think, and so these, like, so I'm the worst at setting this thing up, but basically people will say, I've heard a lot of people say this, I don't care if you have guns or how much you say you support the Second Amendment. If you vote Democrat, you don't support the Second Amendment. Right. I've seen there's a ton of people that believe that. There's probably a lot of people watching right now that think that wholeheartedly. But there's a second option that I think a lot of people don't consider, is that if someone is a liberal and they vote for the Democratic candidate, because that's who reflects their views the most, but they like guns, they've fallen down that slippery slope the other way. Well, the other option is Democratic candidates that are pro-gun, right?
Right.
Because think about it, that's how it could shift. Like, let's say if guns became a thing that crosses the aisles, where like, oh, now most liberals are wanting to have guns now. Well, that means there's going to have to be liberal candidates that are, obviously pro whatever the different, the liberal viewpoints are on other things, but they're pro-gun. So then that'll be the choice within their own party. It's like the anti-gun liberal or the pro-gun liberal. And then who knows? There could be a world where in a presidential election, you have a liberal president and a conservative president, but both are pro-gun.
Right. Could be.
And then that's no longer a thing we have to fight over.
Right.
Now that's a fantasy, but it's still, but still at the local level, I don't know. I just hate that. Again, it's like throw the baby out with the bathwater. If someone likes guns or they're willing to learn, or they're interested, it's like, they should be welcome, I think.
Absolutely. We need to help them all we can.
Yeah.
Get them into it.
And even people who are like diehard gun guys, if whatever, they say something that, you may not agree with, fine, disagree with them, but they're still one of us. You know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's too much division already in the world amongst every group. And, I get wary. I get weary of it. Not wary of, but I get weary of it. I really do. I always have. And I'm not as good as a lot of people are, but, the gun debate, arguing it. And I just been doing that so many years and decades. I just buy a gun. Look, it seems like most people have a gun. Most people have some interesting guns now. If it's just a carry gun or permit, with the rise in violence and just to feel safer. So many people, liberal or conservative, are either buying a gun, thinking about a gun, and just get a gun and enjoy it and defend yourself and feel better, sleep better at night, and it's setting a good example. That's the best I think we can do.